Thank you. Okay, models, we'd like to invite you on stage. Guys, give a big round of applause to Aaron Williams.
Hello. How you doing?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, guys, let me help you out. This is how it works, okay? This guy has been working all day, and I really appreciate you give him a better round of applause. We've come all the way from the UK, flew in, so please give Aaron Williams a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the main stage. We are the Foss Academy. We're all about education. Please come closer. Yes, you can. Yes, you can come closer. It's all good. It's all good. We'd like to invite our models on stage, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Not all of the models, just the walk-on ones first. Thank you. Haircutting model, thank you very much. Take a seat there. Aaron's model. Aaron's haircutting model. Thank you very much.
Come on, man.
So Aaron, I'm going to swing off to Aaron because Aaron's a Foss creative and a Foss educator. Now, I want Aaron just give us a feedback on what this collection was about, because we brainstormed this based upon the looks that we created. So, I just wanted to talk about that inspiration.
Yeah, I think that anywhere in regards to hair, you always have to find inspiration to implement into your everyday work. Now, for me today, we took a lot of inspiration from films like Metropolis, a lot of the Studio Ghibli manga kind of films where they have the really kind of long, messy, wavy fringes. So we've worked with some really fundamental techniques to achieve that end result. So, and I think what Chris mentioned there about taking inspiration is key. I think we can take inspiration from everywhere, whether it be music, whether it be artwork. So, I'm just working through my hair, saturating it now. And I'm going to start working my graduation from right to left. Now, I've decided to use a very small scissor today. I've gone for a 5.5-inch offset scissor. Now, the reason I've gone for a scissor like this is because it's got what's called a sword-edged blade at the top and a flat blade at the bottom. It gives me loads of control when I'm cutting within the palm of my hand. Now, whenever I pick hair and I graduate with a vertical section, we are going to be dispersing weights from the hair. So, my sections, because I want a really lean, square, masculine shape, are going to be more vertical than they are horizontal. So we're just going to pivot them slightly as we go. So, Chris, I see that you're working on a clippering technique over there.
Yep, and it's called, basically a fanning method of cutting. Now, the beautiful thing about working different techniques and learning different ways of doing things is using equipment in a completely different way. Now, what most people do generally when fading and clippering, they will take a clipper and work with the guard. So they'll create maybe a bit of a line, get another clipper guard, work that weight out. Now, what we've done is basically use that method, but slightly turn it on its head. And that's what it's all about, being a bit creative with your work and your tools. So basically, when we use a clipper, and this is what we do, you have a fun, you can come closer. It's all about teaching and learning. I want to teach you guys. I want to, come in. It's okay, man. I showered. It's beautiful. Yeah, you can come closer. All right, maybe don't. Just then. Okay, so what we have, when you do this, when you clipper like this, you create you're actually what we called a technical blend. So you'll go with a number 1, right? But what we're doing is slightly changing the way we angle the clippers. So as we anchor up the head, we elevate the clipper angle to about a 45 to a 90 degree. With that, what I'm doing is creating almost a half guard. So if I put the blade back, I am creating a number 2. Do you understand, guys? Without me stopping and putting a number 2 guard on. You got it? So what I'm doing is shortcutting the fade process. So if I know this weight is here, what I'm going to do is this is called a visual blend. It's not a technical blend. Technically, if you do that with a number 2 guard, it's exactly 6 millimeters. But I'm not doing that. I'm shortcutting that whole process. Like a karate chop. Bam! Shortcutting that. So instead of me using many different guards, what I'm doing is technically creating that number 2, working that down to 1.5, down to my number 1. Now with my number 1, I pull the blade back. If I pull the clipper at 90 degrees, guess what I've got? Sorry, guess what I've got? A 1. See that? Amazing. So there we go. Look, I've got a number 1. And then I lower my clipper down to clipper angle downwards. I've got a half guard. So with one clipper guard, I've created a smooth transition from a visual blend. So check out this visual blend method. So what I'm doing, I'm working on a horizontal, so I'm holding it out at a diagonal, and I'm expanding off the head shape. With this method of fading, you can fade up to a number 3 or number 4. You can really take your weight and your fading methods, just literally working that through, because I am what we call visually blending, all right? So don't feel afraid to do this. You can see all this weight through there. I know how much pressure I'm putting that clipper. I am not applying too much pressure. I am what we call fanning the hair with this method of fading. Aaron, over to you, fella.
So yeah, I've just worked on my internal shape. So I've worked a graduation from the round of the head. If you can't tell, I am sweating up here. It's very hot. So all I've
You know you look sexy when you're hot, my man.
I think it adds a shine to my forehead a little bit, but yeah. So I'm just working with what we call a travelling guideline. So I'm working from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. And we're working around the shape and the contour of the head to create our internal graduation. Once we've finished the internal shape, I'm going to use a free-handed technique to line the hair up around the ears. And then we're going to move on to the top to connect the top through to the sides. Now this haircut is going to be very couturied. I've already cut the top. Now what I did with the top is we wanted a little bit more length on the right side. How do I create more length with small sections? Now the best way for me to do that is by utilising over direction. Now over direction is very simple, very simple. All it means is the more distance I travel from my section. So let's say I pull a section from here. If I travel all the way over to here with that section, the distance is then going to increase the length that I'm cutting, yeah? So the more distance I do with over direction, the more length I'm going to create. Distance equals length, okay? So once we've done that, I imagine I will clipper the neckline in very slightly. But I'm just going over it with this beautiful comb I was given by a good friend of mine standing over there. Scissor comb, which is really nice to use.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
awesome,
you, Ali.
awesome. Where are you? Who is it? Did he give us a wave? Where are you, sir?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Can't see us, but it's
awesome.
all good.
So, tell us explain about the comb, Aaron, while I just quickly after I do that technique.
That again. Tell us
about the comb, what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, so I was given this comb today. I thought I'd try it out. I mean, usually I use a YS Park 339 comb. Now, they're so good, they're so nimble, and they're very small as well. So it gives me loads of control over my internal shape. Now, the reason I love this comb now, I mean, I've used it only for an hour and a half, and the texture of it is beautiful. It feels really good in the palm of the hand. The spine of the comb seems slightly wider than my YS Park comb. So then, when I'm using a scissor over comb technique, it's going to create a little bit more length there as well. So, I also want to point something out. When I'm moving with a travelling guide around the head, I should always be pulling my uncut hair into my guideline. Otherwise, the guideline is going to start to move and it's going to start to change lengths. So we always wanted to pull our uncut hair into the guide, and I'll show you an example now. So we can tell that we're slightly pivoting around the head now. We're just working with the shape of the head. Now we have several different bones in the head and different muscles that we should always be paying attention to. If I lean the neck over to one side, we have a muscle called the trapezius muscle. We have a bone cluster called the mastoid process, and we have a point just here called the parietal ridge where the head veers out. So I really want to bear these things in mind when I'm creating an end result, as well as cheekbones and jawline. So yeah, like I say, we're just working that section, working with the travelling guide, and I want you guys to see it, but every time you work, we want to pull the section towards us. It gives us a lot more control. So, just so you can see it, I'm going to stand from the side. Now, I'm making sure I have very good tension on the hair. Now, if I lift that hair up, you can see my guideline quite clearly underneath. If you can't see your guideline, you need a thinner section. It's simple as that. So, anyway, I'm going to take a thinner section just because I like to be very precise. And I'm just going to create some really nice tension there and work the guideline down into the front nape hairline, yeah?
Looking good, Aaron.
Okay. So I see you're, are we changing techniques over there, Chris?
All right, I've changed techniques. Now I'm going to do a little shortcut because I believe what's really fundamental in barbering is that we use tools and equipment to be more effective, to create the results that we want to create really, really easy. Now I'm using this comb is a Denman jumbo comb, okay? The span of this comb is exactly 6 millimeters. And what 6 millimeters mean to us, guys? And number 2, exactly. So me using this flush to the head, what I'm creating or recreating is a number 2 guard without me stopping and trying to find a number 2. And you know, guys, what it's like in the salon. People trying to take your stuff. Where's my number 2? Where's the number 1? These things are really frustrating. But if you're using your tools and equipment, knowing that if I put this directly to the flat, to the head and work directly off the spine of the comb, I am creating or recreating a number 2. Conversely, if I use a comb like this, and I wanted to just quickly show you very quickly, and if you can see coming forward, I don't know if you can see this, guys, if I was to line this up, yes, you can come closer, you can. If I was to line this up exactly, you see that spine, oh, you don't have to smell it. You like it? Does it smell good? It's okay. But look, if you see that there, that spine, that comb is exactly 3 millimeters, which means I'm recreating a number 1 without putting a number 1 on. Now, what I've done through the sides here is creating a bit of a burst fade effect. So I've used 2 different techniques. I've used a comb technique and a fanning technique. The fanning technique was on the back, and I employed that very easily, very quickly, by using a visually blending technique. And that's using the clipper in this manner. Holding at 45 degrees with the blade black with a number 1 guard is going to give me a number 2. Then I anchored that down to 45 degrees to 1.5, closed the blade up to a number 1. That's what I did. And then obviously took the guard off and replicated that step as I blended downwards, what we call reverse tapering, all right? So you start on your highest point and work down. Very simple technique. And then obviously, we can do the exact same method by using clipper over comb to actually finish that off. Now, this whole collection is called Metropolis. What we want to do is create a softer contour to all of our haircuts in this collection. And what you're seeing, I just want to, Aaron, just explain the inspiration behind the Metropolis collection. And obviously, it's about the future. So talk to us about the future, how you see barbering developing.
Yeah, I think the way that hair is going is we want to understand all hair types and all hair textures as well as head shape. I think to categorize is going to make things a lot harder for us. So let's look at it as a fabric and let's treat all different fabrics differently and different growth patterns differently also. So I'll give you an example. If I had somebody with a single crown directly in the center, just above the occipital bone on the crown area, if it was in the center, I could create a perfectly symmetric or geometric horseshoe section. Now, if it isn't in the center, we might need to build a little bit more weight on the crown to preserve it sitting down. So what we would then do is pivot off the crown, elevating every section from its natural fall from the crown, which is going to then incline it to sit back in its position, okay? So, like I say, I think it's about assessing the clients, assessing the hair type, and assessing the growth pattern, and that's how you're going to get the best end results. So yeah.
I'm moving now onto my side section, and I'm elevating out at 90 degrees from the head because I want to build a corner of weight in this corner through here. And with my styling, you'll be able to see the result of me literally holding the hair out and pulling this out at 90 degrees. Because what I'm doing is building a corner of weight. So we have a much more squarer side to a much more rounder side through the other part of the head. And we're just literally overlaying that and working an angular shape through there, just through the sides with our burst fade. Now, we have some walk-on models, but we're not going to show them in a second. We're going to just finish these guys up. I'm going to invite our second models up. Aaron, you've got a second model, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've got another model coming on shortly. I'm just going to point something out. I'm going to work on a different technique into the nape. And I'm going to work a technique called downwards scissor over comb, which is going to create a very slight layer. Now, what I want to do is take this graduation that we've created and blend it into the neckline. Now, the best way for me to do that is either using a clipper, because it's very easy for me to get a short graduation, or maybe a scissor over comb or a clipper over comb technique. Now, again, I'm going to be working in zones on the head shape. I'm going to work this right section where the head bends in slightly first, then I'm going to work flat, and I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. So the way that this downwards scissor over comb method works is we comb the hair down, we create our guideline with our scissor, we lift the hair, we create the guide. We work down, we do the same thing until we get into that nape, and then just dusting off the ends. And that will then give us that layer down into our graduation. If I wanted that really sharp, by all means, I'll go in with a clipper and a guard. But if I want to keep something quite natural and flowing with the natural growth pattern, I might do it with a scissor over comb or a graduation technique within the palm, sorry.
Awesome, guys. We want to connect with you. Really would love to connect with you. So if you get a chance, if you're tagging any photos, tag us in, hashtag us at Foss Academy. We're great to love to see your images. We like pictures, don't we, Aaron?
We do.
We like pictures!
I never get the pose right, though, Chris. That's the problem.
You're doing great pose there, like some sort of ninja.
Yeah. Like, it's all in the stance.
Oh, yeah, it's all in the stance, baby.
All in the squats,
it's all in the stance. Yeah. Okay, so I'm creating a support texturizing technique by using my razor underneath the hair just to splay this up. For me, razoring is almost, it's a feel of the hair. It's a sporadicness to the texture that I'm creating. Rather than very structured texture, I want to create softer sporadic texture. So internally what I'm doing is going underneath where short hair pushes long, creating a scaffolding effect. When our product goes in, you really see this hair pop. And it's all about the MMA. We're taking inspiration from manga, MMA. Yeah, that's the one.
That'd be an interesting haircut.
A bit tongue-tied. It's been a long day. I've done a lot of talking today. It's been great, though. So it's really about that kind of very much a Japanese feel to the work that we're creating. We wanted to create that softness, moving away from that very hard, really salon pomp type work. Is that correct, Aaron?
Definitely, yeah. We're trying to, I think we're seeing a lot of pomps nowadays. We're seeing a lot of things that are elongating the shape of the head. Now, we know if we create that length with a pomp, it's going to make the head look taller. That doesn't work with everyone's head shape. Now, in the UK, where I'm from, in Birmingham, we have a lot of people that will get a clipper with no regard for the head shape and take it right up to the top of the head. I don't know why.
Are you serious?
I'm deadly serious. And it's like, head shape comes first. The first thing the client's going to see when he looks in the mirror is his face. He's not going to see the taper or the beautiful blend, you know? So I think head shape is the key thing, and I think there's so many good ways of creating a good shape. Clipper over comb's great. We know if I force a comb into the side of someone's head, I'm forcing that shape. There's no way I can mess that up if I'm working off the spine of the comb. Now, I think I'm getting a lot happier with the way that that's now flowing down into the neckline. And I'm going to utilise a clipper now with a couple of different guards and a technique that Chris used called bevel and flick. So, I also need to grab my brush because I forgot to put it on stage. Oh my gosh, panic.
So while Aaron runs off stage,
grabbing the brush.
I am just using the razor internally just to break up some texture through this part of the head. Now for the front, I don't want very much texture at all, so we're going to run that down. Like I say, it's going to be very much manga feel about the styling, about the hair. So we're creating softer, and we're using softness, and we're using texture in a very innovative way. So using my technique by just running that down, point razoring, allows for a much more broken up effect. I want that fringe to really much more shattered. Very much a shattered effect.
So you're really creating that sporadic feel there, Chris.
That's right, indeed, that's correct.
So I'm now working a drying technique, and I'm working a technique called wrap drying. Now I want to remove about 80% of the moisture from the hair before I start to style. and create the end result I want. It just means that it's a lot easier for me to create that kink or bend in the hair. So, if you see, as I wrap dry the hair, I'm using a flat paddle brush, and all I'm doing is following the shaft of the hair. Now, what this will do is it will smooth the cuticle of the hair out, creating a really nice shine and finish to the end result, which I'm then going to wave up slightly. So yeah, once I've got this done, we'll line up around the ears and we should be ready for our next model.
Also, so again, just spot treating, softening it out. Keeping the edges quite soft. Again, none of that really hard edges, just leaving everything much more softer, a softer feel to the haircuts. And we again, it's what we call future cuts. This is what Metropolis is all about.
Yeah.
If you watch the manga film, it's all about the future with droids kind of taking over.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good film. If anyone's into their manga films, your Studio Ghibli's, Metropolis is a great film. It got me my inspiration, so it's a very good film to watch. So,
awesome.
I'm just removing the moisture from the hair now. And what I want to do as I reach the end of my drying is I want to blow dry the hair into this direction. Now, when I cut the hair on the top earlier, I worked with over direction just to keep a little bit more length in the corner, so that then when I dry it, it's all going to wrap around with the natural wave of the hair. So, we can see that his hair's got a very slight kink to it, a very slight wave. So doing a cut like this on someone with type 1 hair that's very straight is going to be completely different. So again, analysing the fabric of the hair and then creating an end result from that is going to make your life a lot easier. Okay. So, the seed's starting to come together. Looks like you're working with the same technique of drying there, Chris.
Correct, I am doing that, Aaron. Again, smoothing the cuticle down, leafing the hair over, just creating a slight bend at the root area. Yee-hee!
At the roots.
Are you guys enjoying Barber Society Live?
Yes.
Yeah? Where have you guys come from? How far? How far? I want everyone that's further than me, because I've just come from the UK, and I'm really hot. Where? Iceland!
Hey.
Welcome! Woo, woo. Where are you guys from? No, you're not. Anyone further from Amsterdam? Come on, must be more. You, sir, with a hat over there. Where are you from? Where? London, Netherlands. Oh, further up. Whereabouts, dude? You need to come closer, man. I can't hear you, man. Whereabouts? Groningen. Groningen. Is it nice there? I need to pay it a visit. We need to pay it a visit. So again, our inspiration has been from graphic novels. I mean, I'm a big fan of graphic novels. I love the idea of telling a story with pictures. And this is what we're doing. We're trying to create a story of a collection through hair. And again, all I'm doing now is just drying that hair, smoothing that cuticle layer over, and then leafing that through. And just to recap the techniques that I've used to break this up, I've used a lot of razoring techniques, and I've used a fanning techniques. Hopefully I've showed you a different method of fading and tapering to create a much more quicker way of creating fade through the sides. Again, smoothing the hair out, smoothing you through. Just working, leafing the hair over. And for me, it's not really about adding too much volume to the hair, it's keeping it softer. Now, with my razoring technique underneath, what we did was we created support texturizing technique. So when I use my hairdryer like this underneath, I'm supporting a much more textured feel through the sides. So by breaking the hair up with my razor, we're just telling a completely different story. We're telling a story of texture through the back, and we're telling a story of smoothness through the front. Individually bespoke in the fringe area. And again, it's all in line with that M&A, I can never pronounce that word. Anime feel. We're creating manga hair. Think Naruto. Do you remember Naruto?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Who remembers Naruto? No, you guys are into comics, are you? We're into manga a lot.
I've never watched it, really. So, I'm just finishing off the drying now. And we can see how that length is starting to wrap around. And it just creates a lot more movement. It's almost like doing a jelly roll. I mean, back in the day, you remember those elephant chunks that would go forward right down onto the head? So there's inspiration from everywhere. Now, I love art. So I love looking at artists like Salvador Dali, who has a very bespoke way of working. And I look at hair in the same way. If I want to create an image, if I want to create a beautiful sketch of someone's face, I'm not going to pick up a paintbrush. I'm going to pick up the right tool. It's exactly the same with hair. So, very close to finishing this now. And I'm going to welcome my next model up very soon. Okay. I'll be here all day if I try and dry it anymore. So I'm going to put a little bit of product in there. Just before I do that, I'm going to outline his hair. So I'm just working with a freehand technique to line around the ears. Now, there's so many ways of creating a line. We can cut within the palm of our hand, we can freehand and support it with the comb, or we can just freehand that line in. Now, what are the differences? If I wanted to create a very rounded fringe with a lot of movement towards the edge, how would I do that? Now, I'd cut it in between the palm of the hand. I'd concentrate on my elevation, but as soon as I cut in between the palm, it's going to very slightly graduate the edge of the hair, okay? And that's then going to, in turn, create a little bit more movement to your end result. So just finishing with the lining. And again, if I wanted to, I could go in at that nape area, but I want to see a little bit of movement. I want to see the natural hairline. I don't really want to just go in there and fade it out at the moment. It's perfectly possible, but it's not something I want to do for this haircut. Just working that freehand around the ear. Okay, and I'm going to finish up with a product now that's going to take quite a bit of the moisture out of the hair. Now, hair is what's called hydroscopic, so it absorbs oil and it absorbs water. Now, or generally, it absorbs oil and water. So if I put an oil-based product in his hair and dry it off, the water will evaporate and it will leave me with quite a greasy finish. Now, because I want quite a matte finish, I've worked with no product in the hair before drying, and now I'm going to use a product that really maximises that matte finish. Okay, has anyone seen the video of the guy that cuts the steak and then does that salt on? So every time I get this, I feel really cool.
I'm going to use some of that soon, my man. I'm just being focused on styling, just really focus on the energy that I'm getting from this haircut, man. Let's try some of that bad boy. Is that, there we go. Is it? There it is. There it is. I don't think we've ever seen that before, have they?
No.
Show that technique again. Go on, man. Woo!
God. Okay. always good to be flashy as well. It's the only way I keep clients.
What, being flashy?
So, just to go over what I've done on this haircut, it's a very simple concept. I've worked with a cross-graduation technique from right to left. Now, I worked with a travelling guideline, so every section I took, I moved a step around the head. So every section from 1 to 2, to 2 to 3, to 3 to 4, you can see I'm stepping around the head. Now, your body position is key for everything. So if I'm creating a layer and I want to over-direct the hair this way, if my foot's back here, I'm going to want to pull that hair towards me more. So if I'm over-directing over there, my front foot is forwards, and then I'm more inclined to over-direct in that location. Again, over-direction, the more we travel with the section, the more length we are going to create. So yeah, I've worked with a travelling guideline throughout the hair to create a graduation. I worked a layer over comb technique just to preserve a bit of the hair on the nape area here. And then throughout the top, I worked with what we call a stationary guide. And I changed my over direction as I worked around the head, just to preserve a little bit more weight in the corner. So, great stuff.
Looking good, Aaron. So let me explain exactly what I did and how I created this very much Japanese-inspired, manga-inspired haircut. Now, I'll go back to the fundamentals of the holding the clipper. I'll explain exactly what I did with my clipper just to make my life a lot more easier. And when I teach this method, it kind of makes people kind of like, oh, right, I get that. So I'm going to just quickly go through my clippering and what I used to create and shortcut my fade process, especially for the back hair. Let's go for the back. And we worked through here, very simple method. And we've got what we call a technical blend, and we've got a visual blend. Holding the clipper flat to the scalp like this is going to give you a technical blend. Expanding the clipper out and using a fanning technique is going to give you a visual blend. So what we did was, first of all, before I start cutting hair, I always expand my clipper out and start at highest point. So if I elevate my clipper away from the scalp, that's my highest point. It's my safety net. So with my safety net in gear, I'm able to then go in and use this fanning method. And then as I worked down the head, I went down to an exactly technical blend. The technical blend is a 1.5 blade back. Then I went down to a 1. I replicated the exact same thing. So can you imagine holding a clipper out like that is almost you doing that with the clipper? Do you understand? So if I hold it out at 90 degrees, I'm actually recreating a number 1 without a number 1 on there. It means that my life is so much easier when I then go back in and then bevel down to the fade that I want to put in the hair. Now this method is great for those people, if you have a problem, you see dark spots, and again the canvas of a fade is all about light and dark. And if you think to yourself, I don't want to go too high on this, but if I expand my clipper out, I'm not going too short. And then I obviously change the angle down. Is that taking too much hair off? Not sure. Then lower the angle until the weight is removed. By doing that, I'm protecting my work area and my surface area and allowing me to work without worry about me blending or taking the fade too high. So what we've done, guys, is really just gone through and showed a very quick method of cutting. Internally, what we did with the razor, and we've got a little bit of a burst fade through here. And again, it's anime inspired and manga inspired anyway. And I thought I'd try a little bit of a colored spray through the ends. So we went through the sides and did a temple taper, leaving the sides soft. Something I just want to keep it a little bit soft through there. I mean, we did a lot of references from manga films, and we looked at the softer shapes for the front, really hard graphic and soft fringes, and that's what we tried to do with this particular cut. It's a bit out there, but I guess when you look at the styling, it all works very well. So Aaron, you're doing your last bit now, your last model.
That's right, yeah. And again, it's going to be very similar to the last one, but I'm going to demonstrate it with a completely different hair type. Now, we have different hair types all the time. Let's try and implement different techniques to achieve the same results. So, what I want to see by the end of this haircut is I want to see the left part of the hair. I want to create a little bit of volume on there, create a little bit of shape, and I want this hair to almost come up. And then what I'm going to do, that hair that comes up, is going to wrap again around the front fringe there. So, which I think will go really well with this kind of naturally left hairline. So, again, I'm going to work a taper technique now, and I'm going to use a clipper, and I'm going to use a technique called 2 up from target. Now, if I want skin, and if I'm using 2 guards above, what am I starting with? A number 2. So, I'm going to take my wool magic clip. I'm going to open it with my 1.5 guard on, which inclines that is a number 2. If I then tilt to 90 degree, it's going to add another 0.5 of length. Now, the way that I'm going to clipper this out is I am literally going to work the clipper right off the mastoid process here. If I go any further, it's going to create lines of demarcation, okay? So, again, I'm going to show you, and I want a geometric feel to this taper. So, the mastoid, and we're just going to flick that hair just underneath the mastoid, working all the way around the head until we've created our first guideline of weight.
Aaron?
5 minutes. Okay, we're on panic mode. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put my number 1 on, and if we want to do a very quick blend, this is a very good technique for it. And
well, this is why you've got a technique.
Here's the test, man.
It's all about technique.
That's it. So we can see the growth pattern. The direction of hair is going this way. So for me, I'm now going to change the angle that I hit the hair to go against the grain. Again, using the same technique to bevel and flick into that previously cut hair. Now, let me know if you can't see that, because I really want people to understand this technique, because it's very good for creating quick transitions. Now that we've done that, I'm going to drop down to my number 1 guard, and I'm going to do exactly the same process, my 0.5 guard. I'm going to do the same process slightly lower, just eradicating that area of the neckline. Again, bevel and flicking the hair out, pivoting at an angle, and pivoting down. So, I'm now going to line him up.
That's it, Aaron. Keep working that technique, fella. Keep working that technique.
So, just lining up the neckline there, removing any of the unwanted hair. Now, we all know how to line hair up. I mean, there's different techniques for different hair types. Now, if I was lining up or bordering the fringe of let's say, a type 4 hair, a very curly hair, afro hair, there's so many different techniques you can do. I used to work with a guy that would wet the hair down depending on the curl, and he would comb the hair down, supporting it with his razor, with his comb, and then just use his razor to pop that hairline in. I think there's so many different ways. We see a lot of people using talcum powder. We see a lot of people going in dry with the razor. Just depends on the result you want to achieve, okay? So again, on this side, try not to push the hairline. Obviously, we need to take it in slightly to get that sharp finish, but let's not push it to here. That's not going to make it look very good in a day. So now I'm going to scissor over comb that line out in the 2 minutes I have left. Oh my God, it's a panic.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job,
okay.
mate.
So you can see the way the hair flows. It flows in that direction. And then when I look at this side, it's a little less. It almost flows down with the natural growth there. This side kind of flows a bit more this way. So I'm going to use my scissor over comb technique. I'm going to concentrate on the spine of the comb using a C grip motion, okay? Now, I see a lot of people and they'll use scissor over comb holding it underarm like this. And yeah, that's great if you want to create something really sturdily and you want to balance your hand on there and you want a bit of control. But I think using the comb like this gives you a little bit more freedom to play around with the hair and see how it falls and sits then, yeah? So again, just working with the
So Aaron, while you're doing that, I'm going to, just because of time, I'm going to invite our walker models on and explain what we did with walker models.
Good stuff.
So I don't know if our walker models can get themselves ready to come on stage in a second now. And we're just going to explain exactly how we did and what we did by creating this collection. And again, it's inspired essentially by manga movies. And the movie in particular is Metropolis. we wanted to create much more softer feel with men's hair, and what's what we try to do with the collection that we come up with. So let's just have the model stand on the front there for me, please. Stand up there. Awesome, thank you. Give him a round of applause. He's a lovely guy. So while Aaron does that, we're just going to invite our models up on stage. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. You guys enjoying yourselves?
Yes.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So we want to thank you guys. Come on to the front of the stage. Awesome, awesome. And we've still got a couple more models left. I think one more. Trying to find him.
He's had enough. He's had
right,
enough.
so let's explain exactly what we did. Now, method is really important for us at the Foss Academy. And what we try to do, as you see Aaron's explaining, and the beautiful thing about what we try and do is we listen to people's problems. And we try and find solutions and help them with their particular problem with barbering. And the videos that we've got a set of videos on YouTube, Foss Academy, tap those in. There's a lots of education on there. We also got an app that we have that you can download for free, and it has lots of free education on there. So the technique that we did here was 2 up from target. And we prepped this model beforehand. Again, it's a Wild Wild Morcon models. And the idea of that is to create lots of softness in the hair. We wanted to introduce a lot more softer feels with that whole manga kind of inspiration. Again, movement is a really big thing about this collection, and that's what we try to do with, we use a diffuser through hair. Now, I know Aaron prepped this model through the back, and I know what he did. He used a razor just to create disconnection, and that disconnection is accentuated by the diffused shape that we try to put in there. And again, it's all about the softness through there, the water spray.
I'm looking for it. I can't see it.
Just give me a second.
I think you've packed it away. We haven't finished yet, Chris.
Do you want to explain what you did with that model?
Of course,
explain
yeah.
that.
So, what we did is we worked. I mean, his hair, he wanted to keep it very similar to how he had it previously. So I had a very little maneuverability with the end result that I wanted. But what we did is we worked with vertical sections on the side of the hair. We started off at the back, creating our layer. Now, we created what's called a concave layer. So we removed quite a bit of weight from up here and preserved the hairline. So that then gives it this kind of movement and texture into that nape area. We travelled until we hit the mastoid process. Everything was over-directed back to the fixed point. When we hit the mastoid, we then started to over-direct to the mastoid, okay? And it's left us with this really kind of curly, couturied finish to his hair. I think it's very Samurai Jack. It's very kind of, you know, he's going to chop your leg off in a minute, but it does the job. Have we got that spray bottle?
There we are.
I'm just going to finish drying.
And again, this look, again, very soft. We love the man bun, and we just kept it with the whole feel of that samurai feel. Our next model we're going to have up now. Again, softness is a really big factor in this. Movement and softness, graphic necklines that we try to introduce through hair, leaving it much more heavier through there, but work that ducktail effect through the back. And again, it's all about softness, it's all about movement, and that's a key factor in this whole presentation that we try to do for you today. So while Aaron finishes up, we're going to play our finale music, and then we're going to shoot off. Thank you. So this is to help Aaron dry the hair. Aaron, do you want some help?
Please.
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Oh,
play the music, let's go, let's go. Too long. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, hairspray. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Metropolis. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
You.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. So let the guys step forward, jump down, guys. So the guys take a picture of your lovely, lovely hair. There we go, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Awesome. Thank you.